I'm talking about straining for that logo on the side of your helmet and not the name on your back.
Yes, sir.
Because we know what it represents. It represents everybody here you see and everybody you can't that we've talked about. I'm here to strain with you, man. I swear to God, I'm here to strain with you. Let's go. Everything you got, strain with everything you got. Let's go. Bills on 3. 1, 2, 3. Bills.
You're listening to the Off Tackle with John Fina show with your host, Joe Miller. Well, what is going on? Welcome everybody into the Off Tackle with John Fina show, brought to you by the Market Dominator team on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network, presented by Picasso Pizza. Treat yourself to the most flavorful pizza on game day. Picasso's. We are Buffalo Pizza, shipping local and nationwide. Order online today at picassospizza.net. My name is Joe Miller. I'm the host of this here wonderful, pleasant show. That guy over there is the one and the only. Oh, there might be two of you in the world, but at least for this show, the one and the only John Fina. John, how are you?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. How are you, Joe Miller?
I'm good. I'm super duper super. Got it. Yep, there it is. And I don't have one to open, so I'll just ding them.
I don't know. I love this beer, but it consistently splashes on my laptop. Is that bad? You're the tech guy.
It might be bad. It might not be great, but we're so excited to have all of you with us. Our guest, Drew Bledsoe, is in the house. We're going to be bringing him on here in just a second. But before we do, let's hear from the show sponsor, John Spascheck, the Market Dominator.
Hello, Buffalo football family. I want to say thank you for tuning in to one of the greatest podcasts we have going today, the John Fina Show, hosted by Joe Miller. These are my good friends, and I really appreciate the way that they attack the podcast. They connect with you as a fan. They break the game down with excellence. They teach, they educate, and they bring fun to the table for us to experience a little bit more of our favorite Buffalo football team. So folks, this is what we do in real estate as the Market Dominator and the Market Dominator's team. We bring to you not only fun, but we seek to educate, to advocate, to negotiate, and to dominate in this competitive market. So if you want to win the way our team is winning, you reach out to me directly and I'll respond. 716-570-3298. Let's go, Buffalo.
Go Bills. That is John Spascheck, the Market Dominator, and his team. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, please give him a call at 716-570-3298. For everybody that's in the comments section, welcome. So good to see all of you. We are Super Chat Live. So if you've got a question for John or a comment for John or for Drew Bledsoe, please make sure you jump in and Super Chat. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, I gotta change backgrounds. The backgrounds are important, so you gotta do the background. So, ladies and gentlemen, entering the program right now, 14-year NFL veteran, 3 of them with the Buffalo Bills, throwing for 44,000 yards and 251 touchdowns, Mr. Drew Bledsoe. Drew, welcome to the show, sir.
Cheers, guys. Good to be on with you.
Cheers. Great having you.
How are we feeling tonight?
Life is good, man. Life is good. Got to just cracked a good bottle of wine, and excited to jump on and talk some Bills football with you guys.
Before we do that, tell everybody exactly that, the good bottle of wine. Tell everybody what you're doing.
We just cracked this one. This is our 2019 vintage, which is our current vintage. It's actually sold out, which is a good thing to be. But it's been a lot of fun, man. We started back in 2007. We've been top 100 wines in the world a few times, and actually turned it into a real business. So it's been a cool transition.
That's pretty cool.
I love it. It goes from a hobby, a passion, to a real business.
Yeah,
that's nice.
I mean, someday maybe your podcast will be a real business. Who knows? You guys just keep grinding, and someday you're going to be somebody.
Well, we do have a pizza sponsor, so
I did see that. Congratulations on all the success, and I'm sure you're headed toward another retirement soon, John, with all that pizza money.
I'm just getting inundated with pepperoni and artichoke hearts left, right, and sideways.
Well, I mean, but for a guy like you, what's better than getting paid in pepperoni?
Oh, you hit
This
me
is
in
going to be the best
spot.
night ever.
I love it.
This is going to be the best night ever.
Oh, wait a minute. Do these pepperoni make my belly look fat? Is that a pepperoni in your pocket, or are you
All
just
right, enough. This is a family show. This is a family show. Stop. Drew, welcome to the show. It's such a blast getting the opportunity to just chat Bills football and just stuff in general with you. Thank you for being just willing to come on the show. We appreciate it. Buffalo Rumblings, thanks you. On behalf of Buffalo Rumblings SB Nation, it's just great to have you. So, did you get an opportunity to watch the game on Thursday night?
I did get to see Thursday, and it was interesting. I don't really gamble sports, but I do know what the lines are because everybody always asks me to gamble on it. I'm actually the worst dude ever. But I looked at it, I was like, wow, the Bills are going in there and they're only 2.5-point favorites. What's wrong? What's
Right.
wrong with this? And sure enough, they went in and did what they were supposed to do, and they actually dominated the game and looked like that team that I think we've kind of expected them to be all along this year. They just took control of the game, and it was really never in doubt. And Josh continued to do Josh things that in a lot of ways are things that only he can do in the NFL. But yeah, it was a pretty commanding performance by the Bills on Thursday. It was that's sort of what we expected.
Where do you when you cut? Are you still an avid football watcher, or is it more casual now for you?
Somewhere in between casual and avid. It depends on what else is going on.
Gotcha.
Like I'm not gonna pass up something else that's fun to watch football. But if it's on, I watched a lot of football yesterday.
Yesterday was a great football day, especially if you're a Bills fan or former Bill.
Like Christmas for Buffalo Bills fans.
Everybody
they got to have a break, and they climbed to the top of the division without playing a game yesterday, right?
Yeah, it was amazing. Fifth to first. So everybody that needed to lose lost. So the Jets lost, obviously. The Chiefs lost. The Dolphins lost. The Chargers lost, and not the Bengals. There was one of the whatever. There's 5 of them that lost. And it was
the Chiefs are the important one.
Yeah, the Chiefs lost. Yeah, the Chiefs are the important one. No, I was going to ask you if there's ever a so if the Bills and the Patriots, just because you've played for both those teams, if they're getting ready to go at it, do you have a loyalty either way, or do you just sit down and get ready to enjoy the game?
So the honest truth is, and I know I'm on with you guys, and this is mostly going to be Bills fans, but I'm also really careful because I don't want to.
You're fine.
Look, I'm trying to sell wine in both markets, guys. But the truth is, when you play in Buffalo and you get to experience that, and you get to experience what that fan base is like, and how loyal they have been. Bills lose 4 straight Super Bowls, but still have the most diehard fanatic, fan base. And they haven't won a championship. The Patriots, they've had an embarrassment of riches for a long, long time. And so, you're always kind of cheering for the underdog. But especially after having spent time in Buffalo, just for those fans that show up and tailgate. And somebody was telling me recently that they get like 150,000 people to tailgate and only 70,000 can go inside. I mean, you can't help but want those fans to win a championship. So, so when those games are on, I can pretend, but emotionally, I'm hoping that the Bills go on and win this whole darn thing.
Love it.
It pulls at the heartstrings, right? When you connect to people like that, and and when you're a player, you gravitate to fan bases like that. I think
for sure
means a lot more to you every time you deliver a victory for them. And I was kind of stunned. I always thought there were maybe 30,000 more out there but to have double the amount of people in the stadium out in the parking lot.
That's what somebody told me, and I haven't been there, but that's what somebody told me.
I'm willing to believe it. From the last tailgate I was at, I swear, and they were all trying to exit when I was leaving too.
Right. Yeah. That was a different program. First home game, I showed up Wednesday morning early, driving in, and I walked by the equipment room and asked Woody, I was like, dude, is there an RV show? What's going on? He goes, no, those people are tailgating. They get here on Tuesday to start tailgating, which. That was a foreign experience, to me, to see people get there on a Tuesday to start tailgating for a Sunday game.
Yeah,
I'm just reeling after RV show.
It happens. No, they've actually changed that, so now you can't enter the parking lot, the camper lot, until Friday. So, and then I think the league rule for cars is 3 hours pregame, 3 or 3.5 hours across the league. So you can't enter the actual parking lots if you're in a car till 3 hours before. But
bureaucracy is everywhere. I don't know what the point of that is. I mean,
we're back to the no fun league, the NFL, the no fun league.
Yeah, a little bit. John, you got a question?
Yeah, Drew, there's been a lot of talk before with this 3-game run. The offense was looking a little questionable. People talk about, do we need a run game, or is it just a kind of a pass run modification? So I'd like to hear what you thought if you watched closely. It did seem like Josh struggled a little, like there might be some confidence issues. If you saw it, what do you think? If you experienced it, what did you do? Like, how'd you pull yourself out of it? Because it happens to all of us.
Yeah, I think with Josh, what I saw, and again, I haven't studied this, I haven't, but I've watched. I think there was, and for him, it'll be a battle he has to fight forever. There was a little bit of a confidence issue, but not the traditional kind of confidence issue. This was a guy that believed he could do anything, and still does believe he can do anything. And so some of the mistakes that were being made were him, he's 10 foot tall and bulletproof, which is what you have to be. And a lot of his game breaking, unique plays come from him extending, taking chances, making the uncommon plays. But then you have to get to a point where, like, okay, now it's time to surrender on this play. And it's really hard as a competitor, especially when you can do the kinds of things that he can do. It's really hard to surrender on a play. And so the big plays that hurt him down that stretch were the red zone turnovers. Without those red zone turnovers, we're talking about a team that maybe's only lost a game, possibly 2, but I think that those were the plays that were hurting him. And that's where it's like, and this is a battle you fight as a competitor. And I fought this a little bit, like, oh, it's time to throw this one into the stands and take the 3 points, or to, throw it into the sidelines and come back and fight another day. So I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to be great. I was excited against the Patriots. It seemed like they were, allowing the running backs to be more involved in the running game as opposed to just the quarterback. And I think that's going to bode well for him down the stretch.
It's funny that you bring all that up, because to me, you share similar characteristics from my memories, and I'm 49. So I remember the day that they brought you to Buffalo and how excited I was. But you had a lot of that, and it wasn't the same type of mentality. You knew when to throw the ball away, but you had that "I'm not going to surrender" piece to you too. Because I specifically remember that if you were in the process of getting sacked, you weren't going to the ground. Like, you had guys draped on you, and you were going to stay in there. Like, I'm not going to the ground.
Yeah, no, that was when I was my first game ever in the NFL was against the Bills at, I think it was Rich Stadium at the time, and I remember Bruce, first of all, drilled me. Total personal foul. He should have been fined. He should have been
ejected.
He should have been ejected.
Meanwhile, he just brushed him.
Meanwhile, he just gets up, and it was a good play. But I think later on that game, he actually hit me again. And I kind of spun around, and he was hanging on my leg, and I threw this completion. I looked down, and Bruce Smith was hanging on my leg. I was like, wow, this is weird.
Yeah.
I just watched that guy in the Super Bowl, and now he's hanging on my leg. There is that competitive piece, and it's honestly, it's a hard thing, as a competitor. It's a hard thing to determine when it's okay to give up on one and fight another down, because if you have the ability to extend something, and Josh has very unique ability, in a way that I certainly did not, in terms of his physical ability to run and make people miss and make plays with his legs. And so that adds another dimension that makes him really, really special. Yeah. But he's also, one of the things he's going to continue to battle is when to step out of bounds and not take the hit, when to throw the ball away, that kind of thing.
But he's approaching the game. Sorry, John. I just want to get one more question in.
Go ahead, Joe. I love listening to you talk.
It's around this. But you guys both come to the game very kind of uniquely, because you were back then bigger than all the other quarterbacks, just like Josh is bigger now. And the word that they use nowadays is arm arrogance. Josh has this cannon of an arm, And back then it was you and Brett, right? You guys had the arm that everybody else was hoping someday we could get a quarterback like that. So there was a lot of not similarities, but you probably come from a very unique position of getting it. I get it, Josh. I get it.
Yeah, no, when you feel like you can throw it through a wall, you feel like you can make any throw.
Right.
Sometimes you feel like you can throw it right through a guy, and that doesn't necessarily work out great.
Right.
Because it turns out some of the defensive backs can actually catch. Not all of them. That's why they're playing defense. That's the old joke. But you get to you do have to get to a point where you're like, oh, okay, this is the NFL. It turns out some of those guys can actually catch the ball, and when they catch it, then I can't catch them. So then it gets really out of hand. And I know Fina couldn't catch him because it just got to dive early and get off the film, right, Fina?
Bro, I'm 1 for 2 with a touchdown.
Are you really? Nice.
Yes, sir.
That's a 50% catch rate. That's not great.
Pretty good.
That's pretty good.
For 2
I was talking about catching the catch. I'm talking about catching the defensive backs once they have the ball. I can't catch those guys.
No, you had on a swivel, man.
Head on a swivel, dive early, get off the film.
Yeah. They made all those look back hits on offensive linemen illegal now, basically.
But you got one catch for one touchdown.
Exactly. Now, to be fair,
that's a pretty good ratio. They should have fed you the ball a little more.
A little bit more, right? A little bit more. But the way we didn't get down to the goal line a whole lot. We scored from the 20, the 30, the 40. When we were right up there on the goal line, they'd throw me in at tight end. I ran the worst route in the history of football. Jim Kelly had to fire the ball into my gut so hard because I almost ran out the back of the end zone.
And I know I've been prepared and when I had the video available, but I'm sorry.
We'll reference that. The one time that I almost got to, you'll appreciate this, Fina. So my best buddy in New England, Todd Rucci, blocked playing for me for all these years. They put him in one-time goal line tight end. Sure enough, hard play action. And he was so wide open in the back of the end zone. He was lonely, right? There was nobody within 8 yards of him. And so this is my buddy. I want to throw him a touchdown. Well, I tried to baby it to him. I tried to catch it for him rather than throwing it hard. And I threw it hit him like right in the ankles as he's falling out the back of the end zone. And it was his one chance to catch it past the NFL. And I ruined it because I was trying to help him out. I was so pissed.
Did he come with you from the Cougars?
No, he was a Penn State dude.
Oh, okay. All right.
Penn State dude.
Yeah, so Joe, just so you know, I was a senior. I think I was a senior or junior. We go into halftime in Tucson, Arizona, and we're beating the Cougars like 28 or 35 to nothing. And we're thinking, we got this thing. And the second half, Drew Bledsoe comes out and just airing it down the field. And we're in the middle of the fourth quarter going, holy crap, is this one guy going to beat us? Like, who is that guy? I never heard of him. I'm not paying attention.
Arm arrogance right there.
Arm arrogance. Yeah,
I think we ended up winning 42 to
35. You ended up winning late in that game. We got you the year after because you were drafted 92, right? Your last year was 91.
Yeah.
So we got you my junior year, the last year. We finally got you down there.
Dude,
so on this topic, so Buff Hub, so this is Steve. He actually does a podcast for Buffalo Rumblings as well. He says, I'll never forget that Vikings game where you exploded. He's talking about the Peerless Price game when Peerless caught that ball, spun around, ran backwards, and then scored. I was actually at that game as well. Is there a game that sticks out to you in your mind? Like, that's like the Bills game that like, I'm always going to remember that one.
Vikings game was awfully fun. Cause what's more fun? Think about it, Fina. Like it's one thing to be in your home stadium and have them going crazy and hear all that noise. There's another thing to be in the Metrodome that's so loud you can hear it shake, and all of a sudden it's crickets. And that's the best feeling ever in football. You go in and you feel like instead of just beating 53 guys on the other side, you just crushed 60,000 people. It's a great, great feeling. And that one was really fun. I loved some of the bad weather games in Buffalo. I loved them not from the standpoint that it was fun. It's just that's what you should be like when you're in Buffalo. You should play especially when you're playing the Dolphins. The Dolphins come up and they're out there kicking around in the snow, and you just know the game's over before it starts because they can't handle a little bit of snow, like they're going to melt. So
I contend, from my days, it was Buffalo and Miami, the big rival in the East. And there, of course, then there were 5 teams in each conference, right?
Colts,
Or in each division, sorry.
Colts, yep.
So who was it when you were in Buffalo? I know it was kind of the Dolphins were transitioning down.
It was. I mean, it was really. I mean, the Patriots.
The Patriots, right?
Patriots were so dominant at that point. The Jets were the Jets, and then they looked like they were going to do something this year, but now they're kind of turning back into the Jets. And but yeah, it was. For us, it was. The Patriots were the big rivalry. We only got them one time while I was there, unfortunately.
31-0.
But it was a heck of a lot of fun that one time.
Dude,
and then we had some good showdowns with the Dolphins as well. But
that Patriots game that you're referencing, 31-0, I was at that game as well. I'm a season ticket holder. But when Lawyer Malloy came out of the tunnel, that was the Lawyer Malloy game, right? So we picked up Lawyer Malloy, whatever it was, 3 days before the game, before the season started.
Yeah.
Lady, starting at safety, number 36, and like the crowd was so loud. There was just that game from start to finish.
Yeah.
Was just unbelievable.
Yeah, it was bonkers, man. That was so much fun.
Bonkers is the right word. So getting back to this week's game. So on this show, what we typically do is we do just kind of like what our expectations were, which we're already 20 minutes into the show. We don't have to necessarily cover that, but then we talk about kind of the good, what we saw of the good. We've got a couple videos that you guys can talk about, and then we talk about kind of like the what needs work, and then we just kind of work through. So good from this game. So Drew, from what you saw Thursday night, what was the good? Like, what did you see? You talked about the running game already, and that's actually one of the videos we have. Was there anything else that stuck out to you that was like, yeah, this was really good?
Well, and I think from on the defensive side of the ball. Now, I'm being completely honest, guys. I didn't watch the whole thing. Once the Bills had control, I checked out. But on the defensive side of the ball, it seemed like, and I know that Mac Jones got really, really frustrated that they kept just dinking and dunking the ball. But I think from a defensive game plan standpoint, I think that the Bills kind of forced him into that. Hey, we're gonna sit back. We're gonna make you guys throw it underneath, and we don't think you have enough explosiveness to get behind us. And so I thought that was a really smart approach from the defensive side of the ball. Like, look, we're gonna score a lot of points. We feel like if we sit back here and make you drive the ball and march it down the field and keep up with us scoring, you're not going to be able to do that. And I think that was a really, really sound approach defensively, where if they had come up and tried to get after him a bunch and blitz the crap out of him, now you give up the big explosive plays. Now they can run with you a little bit. So I thought it was a really smart approach to the on the defensive side of the ball, from that standpoint. And then once they had the lead, they just made sure that they kept the lead and iced it. They didn't really give the Patriots even a breath of air late in the game.
Right, John?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take the offensive side of the ball. I really appreciated that they developed the running game and stuck with it. I think early in the planning, I don't think there was a ton of we're afraid of the Patriots in any way, shape, or form. So we need to go out with a real balanced attack, establish the run. And then what I also enjoyed was there was a lot of spreading of the ball around. There were multiple different receivers, I think minus, Dawson Knox and a couple of drops from Singletary. But I really appreciate that running attack. And Drew, what you're going to see, because I break down offensive line film, right? Because I can't break down anything else because I'm not smart enough like you. So I end up finding myself looking for ways to defend my people. So when that comes up, try not to fall asleep.
Right.
And then, we'll go through a play or two. And then, Joe, I'm going to turn it over to you. But defensively, I would agree with Drew. Jordan Poyer just adds a different attitude to our secondary. People play with more confidence. I think the cornerbacks play a little tighter. Tre'Davious White looks good. And Matt Milano is just – he's a man. And I think the front four really delivered. They didn't get home as much as they wanted to, but they did a great job on the run and pressuring McEnany Jones.
But Corkle, I think, is his actual first name. John, what is that shirt you're wearing? What does that say? Cruiser?
It is. I'm the cruiser. I like fast cars and fast women. So, Drew,
Slow down, Francis.
Drew, I've made it a habit to collect the T-shirts of the Bills backers groups around the country. And this is my most recent edition from Nobody Circles the Wagons, like the Newport Beach Buffalo Bills backers.
Nice.
Yeah.
We talked earlier about the Bills fan base and how crazy cool it is. I didn't know until I played for the Bills how widespread that fan base is. There's a Bills club in pretty much every town that we were ever in.
Yeah.
Yep. And you're all welcome to send me a shirt.
Well, there you go.
My collection.
Send your shirt to Fina.
I think it's. I think it's.
Fina, are you 2X, 3X these days? What do you roll?
Single X, baby.
Just a single X. You got
Unless
all
it runs.
You got that.
I know I looked a little puffy when we met in the summer, but I just come out.
I didn't know how you wanted your shirts to fit. I mean,
well, if it's a Bledsoe winery shirt,
yeah,
I'm definitely cutting that into a muscle shirt.
It's going to be definitely a tank top. I knew that already.
Just to barely cover the nipples.
Yeah, that's going to be great. You know what? That's going to be the best marketing we could ever have.
You've seen his rookie football card, right?
Oh, that's just dirty pool.
I might have to find it and pull it up.
No, you don't.
I have, actually.
Oh, he hasn't seen it.
Well, my dog's excited about it.
Great.
Joe puts it under his pillow every night, which is creepy as hell. But I don't know what else we're going to say about that. So, Joe, what did you think about the game?
So
were you glad that you saw a Fina running attack like I've been telling you we need all year?
I think the biggest thing for me was just the offensive line, even despite the, Quisenberry, you want to talk about gutting a game out, right? I mean, that dude just he could bear. It's rare that you see people limp, right? Hey, I'm limping around. This dude's walking with his foot out. So he's like, not only is he limping, but like he can't even straighten his left foot. And I was just like, I don't know how you guys do it. Like, I legit don't know. I jam a thumb and I'm like, I'm tapped out. Like, I'm good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and this guy's like, his foot is sideways and he's like not coming out of the game. I thought the ground game was great, which kind of brings us to just, this play right here, which is a play that you wanted to talk about, John. James Cook, and you guys both played in the NFL. They talk about the game slowing down for players, and it's clear. And Drew, I don't know that you've watched since the beginning of the season. James Cook, Dalvin Cook's brother. Dalvin's one of the premier running backs in the league, rookie this year. It was clear the first couple games of the season that the game was his head was swimming a little bit. Yeah. And you can see it now that he's patient, he's picking holes, he's confident. So, John, do you want to just work us through this play real quick?
Yeah, give it a quick run. So you get that motion. I don't know what Drew would call it. You're running it in and out, but this is basically
that is not the right play.
That is not the right play.
Hang on a second. Is it this one?
But that play failed not because of the offensive line. It was because of and Drew, this is where we fight all the time.
It's never your fault, offensive line. I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to hit the hole. Yeah.
This is the play. And I've got the backside view. I've got the backside view from the All-22 as well.
This is just Drew, what I've been contending so far with Cook and with Singletary. Keep it simple, right? You just got 6 guys up front. Make them play, try to stop the run out of nickel, get a man on a man, and go downhill. Yeah. And really, I mean, this is very well blocked. There are a couple of late losses, but it doesn't affect it as long as you're going downhill and you're not like creating a crowd, right? They've got everybody out of the frame and they're just giving a fast guy a chance to hit a seam, and he does it.
But what he's doing now that he wasn't doing before, you just saw, which was
he's making that decision and he's committing to it.
It's that one right there.
Yep, that quick cut, and he's going.
And that was the one thing that Zach Moss wasn't capable of doing. Zach would have just slammed himself straight into the back of Spencer Brown right there versus like taking that brief second and then jumping outside.
Well, or he would do too much shimmy behind the guard and wait. And you can't wait in this league. If you have a soft spot, you got to make the one cut and decide. And then, that's how it ends up well.
One thing that you see with good zone running backs, and that was a good demonstration there, is they've got to be a little bit patient early, right? So you watch, it's not, like the old smash mouth running game that we grew up with, right? Quarterback gives the ball, you're coming downhill as hard as you can as you're running back, and you're hitting that hole, right? Well, zone's different. You've got to read that, see where that double team is going, see where the linebackers are flowing to, and then you make that cut. So if you go back and watch this, so you get the great double team with guard and center, right? So he's seeing that, and then he's reading off that, and then his eyes now go to the guard and tackle double team. So he comes off the ass of the right guard, But that's just a good read because he can go any place in there. But if he gets in there too fast, you don't get a chance to see it and let it develop. But by being patient like that, and then when he hits it, he's got the explosive ability, to hit home runs once he finds that gap. But this is cool to watch from the back, where you can see, as you guys were talking about, his maturity even in a short year, where now all of a sudden he's being patient behind the line of scrimmage. But then once he sees it, and then it's 1 foot in the ground and go. And that's good to see.
Drew, it's interesting when you said like the read. So I've coached a little bit of high school football. Obviously, I don't coach the running backs, right? Because I was never a running back. But what I've found is like I'll go over and I'll listen a little bit to what the running back coach is saying, and I'm like, aren't you telling him to like understand the philosophy of the play and look where the combination blocks are? And if the nose is shaded strong, then chances are that's going to bend back. And I don't know that is always done, or the expectation when you get to a certain level is that players should just know that.
Yeah. No, a lot of times you got to break it down. We coached high school football as well. And it's, sometimes some of the stuff, because we were around football for so long, some of the stuff that you think should be common sense is absolutely not. And so sometimes you have to go back and teach the very basics. But, with the zone running game, even at the high school level, that's what we would teach them. You come off, see what's happening with this double team. That's your first look. Your second look is there, and you don't get a third look. If you don't, you read that block, and then wherever you decide, now you're going as hard as you can. But you don't just run from point A to point B as fast as you can in the zone running game.
Yeah, and then just dovetailing really quickly, you make too many decisions, you're in a negative yardage play.
Yeah,
you make 2 quick ones, boom, downhill. Maybe it's
quick ones. You don't get a third one, and you don't get 2 cuts. You get to make a decision, and once you make that cut, that's your cut, and you're committed to it. Now you put your head down and get as much as you can there. And if you made a bad read, no big deal. It's not like you're a quarterback where you make a bad read, it's a turnover. If you're a running back, you make a bad read, you get 2 yards instead of 40.
Yeah, right. You're fired.
Speaking of reads, John, you got a message from House Capital, I believe.
Oh my God, I totally do. Hey, when you're looking to buy a house, everyone's got a guy. Might need work done on your roof? Call Drew Bledsoe. Your buddy's got a guy also. Need an inspection? Call Joe Miller. He can't even inspect his jammed thumb.
Easy.
When you're looking to get your financing together, Brian Belser from House Capital Corporation can be your guy. That's Brian Belser at House Capital. They make the mortgage process simple, hassle-free, and understandable. At House Capital, their preferred relationships with some of the top lenders give you the edge up in getting the financing that you need. Take it to the house with House Capital and call Drew Bledsoe for your home inspection.
I thought it was me. I was the home inspection. He's the roofer. I'm the home inspection guy.
Honestly, I think Drew's doing both. He's really tall, so he can reach the roof.
I'm already out of business. Just like that. I'm already out of business.
It was a good run, bud. It was a good run.
Short, too. It was like a minute and a half, maybe.
About a minute and a half where you had a job finally.
Woo. You're lucky I didn't read the NMLS number in super speed, because that doesn't go well.
It's
especially when I have a little bourbon and a little beer at the same time.
It's a good blend.
So, do you drink alone, John? Is that what the song that we're playing right now in the background?
I don't like that song.
No.
No.
So getting back to the game, as far as the stuff that needs work, it's hard to define or find things that kind of need work outside of. We've got a couple video clips. We could probably just show one of them that'll answer questions that probably a lot of Bills fans have in regards to a certain player, a wide receiver that's on our team. But this game was unique in the sense that the Bills didn't like wallop them. They didn't win by 40. It felt like, as Drew said, they were in control the whole entire time for the most part. They just kind of settled in 24-10, did what they had to do, didn't really take a bunch of risks, handed the ball off, and let that run game kind of shine. But from a negative standpoint, John, was there anything that you saw that maybe needs some work?
Yeah, I mean, I look at the offensive line play just under a microscope, and I've said this all along, 4.5 guys are running a really great play, and then there's a little mini failure. And even in the running clip that you might show, everybody has to be on board. 10 guys every damn running play. The quarterback obviously is handing the ball off, unless it's our guy, then he's running with it. But we just end up with this kind of like, and I say to the kids when I coach them, I'm like, you could play a perfect game. You can do it. Don't think that you get a mistake and then everybody else gets to have one mistake, because by that time you're losing 49-0. So I still need to see that just get cleaned up a little bit better. I think the effort's there, but there's just some of the tracking and some of the angles on running plays that need to get better are also the result of running more. So when you see us run against the Patriots and we can continue to do that, then those little kind of like angles, they tend to clean themselves up. So I'd like to see a little bit more tighter on the running game.
Gotcha. Anything from you, Drew, that you saw?
Like I said, I didn't watch it in depth. I was actually in down in Pebble Beach.
Stop bragging! Stop bragging!
I had to show off a little bit. The weather was better there than it is in Buffalo right now.
Stop bragging,
bro. He's got to do all the wine tours.
Yeah, no,
right?
I had to go
slugging it out on the road.
I had to go sell some wine down at Pebble Beach. It's really hard work.
You ever need anybody to carry those cases?
Brutal.
I
know. Yeah, it's but I think that what's going to, so right now, the Bills are out. To me, it's obvious they're going to make the playoffs. Hopefully they're going to be number one seeds. I would love to see everybody have to come through Buffalo, but if they're actually going to, go all the way through and win, the championship that everybody in Buffalo has been waiting for forever and ever, what John is talking about, these little things that have to get cleaned up, even on good plays, those things are what are going to make the difference, down the stretch. Because you're gonna be playing great teams. The ball is going to bounce funny, and that applies to every area of the team. Every time that I was on a good team that made a run, we were great on special teams.
Right.
And those plays mattered, right? And the little things the little things that you have to execute, and that's why I was kind of. From cheering for the Bills, I was kind of happy to see them have a few losses early because it kind of slaps you in the face a little bit. If you're 9-0, all of a sudden it's easy to let little things slide. All of a sudden, if you lost a few games, you're like, oh yeah, we're not going to go undefeated. This is not going to be easy. We're going to have to do it. That's where you come back and you can actually focus on those things that you need to focus on.
Yeah, and just so you know, Joe, that's not like a conscious decision that Drew's talking about. When things are going good, you're trying to convince yourself that we're 4-4 or 5-5, but it can kind of overtake you. Like you're not like it is not a situation where and a lot of fans will say, oh, they didn't take them seriously. You take every game seriously. Sometimes you come out flat a little bit, but that success kind of, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit like an edible or a little bit of bourbon,
Right. Football is a weird game of imposing a person's will on somebody else. It's a game of violence that I don't know that we'll ever truly fully understand, even as spectators. Obviously, those of you that have played it have a different understanding. So there's a lot of commentary that comes from the media, and I don't consider myself media, Drew, just, I'm not, I'm just a fan that does this for a hobby just because it's fun. And I get to hang out with that guy and we laugh a lot. And
plus all the pepperoni. Let's be honest.
Woo, baby.
Pepperoni.
It's always about the pepperoni. Yes, for sure.
Those little cupping pepperonis that you get,
right?
You get with the little pool of grease in there.
I got you.
But even to the point of guessing, I think so many times for a quarterback like yourself, Drew, it's a DB leaves his assignment, makes a guess, gets lucky and gets an interception or a pick six. And they're like, oh, what a genius play. He totally read that. And it's like, actually, he guessed. And had the quarterback thrown it to the other guy, it's going in the opposite direction, right?
Yeah, correct. And if you're winning, those little things, even you go into a meeting and a coach can point it out in front of everybody, but you leave the stadium and everybody's telling you that how great you are. Yeah. It kind of doesn't have the same weight. And so both teams that I was on that went to the Super Bowl started 0-2. And there's something to that. The teams were very good teams that just didn't play well early. And all of a sudden there is no excuse for anybody to miss anything. And you can't get away with it. And it's also how your teammates hold you accountable. If your teammates, if you win the game and Fina screwed up, but his guy didn't make the tackle, but you won the game, then probably just going to let it slide a little bit. But if we lose the game and Fina missed the block, that was the key play at the end of the game, you're going to hear about it from his teammates, right? So I don't know, John, I think you had something to throw in there.
Well, I wanted to dovetail into that. So we're in a much different cultural landscape than when you and I played. Do you think that, I'm trying to say this nicely. Do you think the deference that we afford everybody now in our speech and our interactions, do you think that's translated into the locker room, or do you think it's hardcore like it was when we played, where people would still get in your face, like you were saying?
It's a good question, and I don't know the answer.
I don't know the answer either, man, but I kind of want to know.
My guess is that it's probably softened a bit.
A tiny bit.
But I think the locker room is still one of those sacred places where you can still what's the right, talk like we used to. At a place where you walk in looking at the floor because you're going to get a barrage of, dude, what the hell? I think it's one of those. If you screw up, I think you're still going to hear about it. But I don't know. Haven't been there for a while, so I don't know how it is now.
If the amateur can lend a hand. So I am a student of leadership, and I read a lot of leadership books. And there's an excerpt from a leadership book that I absolutely love, and he's talking specifically about a college coach. I believe it might have been Nick Saban or somebody else. I can't remember who it was, but very successful, and has been successful for many, many years. So going back to our generation, where you just basically called the guy out, and then we picked ourselves up and went and did better because we just got called out and we want to be better. He was asked the question, how is it that you're still getting these guys generationally to work for you? And he goes, basically the message is the same, but the way I asked the question, the way I directed is different. Whereas before it was, why are you sucking? And then we would respond. Now it's, do you have goals, John? And John would respond, yes, I have goals. I want to be a champion. And then I would ask the follow-up question, do you think the things that you're doing today are going to get you to where you want to go? And it would flick a switch in the person, and they would all of a sudden change.
Drew, we never heard that, man. The coach didn't have enough time for that one. Was there a couch and were there tissues?
Well,
right.
You think about I mean, the point is well taken, Joe, that you do have to speak differently, but John, that kind of makes me laugh.
Right. It's true. I agree 100%. Drew, I agree with you.
Hey, John, do you have goals? Yeah, I have a goal for you to go fuck yourself.
All right. So
I don't know if we can say that. I don't know if we can say that on this show. But
you bleeped yourself. It's all good. I think there's a 5-second delay anyway.
I said flick yourself.
The inference was strong, but the message was sent.
But it's sort of like, back in the day, it was like, that was sort of what it was. And it was the language of love in the locker room. Like, if you guys weren't busting your balls in the locker room, that's when you knew you were really in trouble. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you screwed up and nobody said something about it, then you knew you were in trouble, because that meant that you were really on the outs, But I do think, we had to deal with that in high school, where, you're coaching football, you can't cuss anymore.
We cuss. We're a Catholic school.
Oh, gotcha. Good, of course. Yeah, good.
I played football in high school, and I firmly remember. So I see videos now, whether it's Trent Dilfer yelling at his guy, his young man on the sideline, and putting him on the bench, and it's and people are trying to cancel him on Twitter.
Yeah.
And the amount of times that I had a coach's fingers in my face mask doing this,
Yeah. So the way I handle that, Drew, is at the very beginning of practice, I would just say, look, this is the sideline. Okay, everything over there.
Oh, yeah.
I love you. You're a great kid. I support you. I'm behind you 100%. You walk onto that field, and it might sound like criticism, but it's love and critique in a very energetic delivery.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Well, I wanted to transition to something real quick, because I've been watching the season very intently along with Joe. And, obviously we'd love to be 12-0. We're 9-3. And we've given up some losses with very small point spreads on some kind of, occasional disappointing plays or performances. But honestly, level set everybody. We're 9-3. Forget about where we are, 1 seed if the season ended today. But 9-3. You feeling okay? Like, can some people in the Twitter sphere calm down a little bit?
Oh yeah, I just let's take the Vikings game for example. One of the on fourth and forever, one of the greatest catches in the history of the NFL. Otherwise, that game's over and you just kind of move on. And there were like 4 or 5 plays like that. So, but again, that's for the Bills, they have to recognize that can happen, and that's why they have to continue to push to get better and better. But I think your point is correct, John. 9-3 in the NFL that's designed for parity against all of a sudden a division that's really, really strong that's something that sets up well for a stretch run.
I had a conversation with Reed Ferguson a couple weeks ago in an interview, and I asked him just about the 3 losses. Obviously, because 3 weeks ago, we're having different conversations than we're having right now, right? Because the Bills are on a 3-game win streak, all the turmoil that they went through. And he's like, we lost 3 games this season to a total of 8 points. He goes, we're not really too worried. And I was like, love the swag, bro. Love it.
Well, you can't worry either, because if you worry, you start doing things out of desperation and stupidity, right? You get away from your technique and what really brought you to where you are and start making stuff up in the playground.
Yeah, let's talk about the little things real quick. And this is 2 of the little things. And we've talked a lot. John, if you've pointed out a lot just as far as the blocking mental errors, like the issues that we've had as far as that goes when it comes to just certain plays. And we're going to talk about 2 of those right now.
So it's a pretty simple play, right? But Drew, just as we said earlier, if you have guys that are skill positions and they're required to block, they just got to get it done. They just got to get a hat on a hat, even if it's for a half second to slow a guy up to create a lane. And we've struggled with this a lot this year. And in this instance, it's Gabe Davis just kind of blocking down. He just doesn't do anything at all. But Shakir is
on the next one. He doesn't even, it's zoned to you, and he's stalking the guy on his outside shoulder at the top of the screen in the slot. And this is the kind of thing that Drew just said, like, these details don't matter in this game. But if Shakir takes an inside release onto the inside shoulder of the DB and just slows him down, you go from a negative or a no gain play to a 3-yard gain. And Drew, would you rather be 2nd and 7 or 2nd and 10?
2nd and 7's always good, and that's you're not asking these guys these to come in.
Joe, freeze it when he gets off the line right here, just so Drew sees it exactly where I almost lost.
You're not asking him to come in and drive somebody 5 yards downfield, right? You're just asking him to change his trajectory a little bit. And so it's also understanding just what the what the design of the play is. So like here, if he just takes a hard inside release and makes the defensive back go around him, he doesn't have to block him 5 yards downfield. He just has to get away for a second.
Right.
And so to me, there's also a little bit of understanding of what's going on here, because he comes off and he's coming to where the defensive back is rather than where he's going to be, and also understanding where you don't want him to go. So you come off, take an inside release, make him go around. It's a pretty simple fix as long as they understand the concept of the play.
Ooh, okay. I'm dovetailing on this, Joe, because I've never been in the room with those guys.
Right.
Drew's been in the room. Like, will they review this? Will they say, Shakir, what in the absolute hell are you doing? It's inside zone or it's tackle around. Like, are they addressing it?
I guarantee you he heard about it in the media room, because I guarantee he's been told. Now, the difference here is also understanding the total concept of the play here is, all right, so go back. All right, so I wasn't really looking at this accurately. So this is an RPO for Josh. All right, so they put him in a bit of pickle here. This may actually even have been Josh's read, where he can pull this ball and he can pull this ball and throw it to the receiver
RPO.
standing on the 30 right there. In which case, then these guys are coming off to block for that. It's essentially a screen pass.
Mm-hmm.
See, so if Josh pulls this ball and flips it out there, they've got a pretty nice play. And so that's John. And now looking at it is probably why he took that approach to the block rather than
he went outside. He went outside to keep that guy from getting to.
Yeah, exactly. So if Josh pulls this ball and flips it out there, I don't know who that is that's standing on the 30 yard.
Naheem Hines.
Flips it out there to him. You got a pretty nice play there. And so this is an RPO design. And so I think that's what ended up being the problem on this, because it would be inexcusable for that receiver to take that approach to that block if it was going to just simply be inside zone.
But if it's an RPO, you're still going to have to stalk the guy down.
You're going to have to stalk him, but I think the reason that he got beat inside like that was because of that play design where he actually was setting up to try to block for the screen, out there if Josh pulled it and flipped it out there.
I think that's the difference between a veteran who really wants to block and a rookie who doesn't quite know yet. And nowadays, with the advent of the RPO or the zone read, you really have to have two mindsets. Mm-hmm. So if he stalks him down the midline, he still has a better chance of turning that into, a 1 yard gain play, which would have bounced if he had the inside shoulder. Yeah, but so maybe he doesn't get barbecued in the meeting room.
Also, I think it depends on the time in the game too. Is when they're is that a segue into another advertisement?
Well,
you can't get anything past Drew Bledsoe.
I got to be honest with you, Drew. I would love to be uncorking Bledsoe wine sponsorship. Honestly. Oh shit! I said it out loud. Hey, but
I takes a drink. That was mad. Well done. That was well done.
Minus that, and I haven't even read this yet from Iman Azizi and Q42. What makes Q42's award-winning KC and Carolina style sauces stand out? It's a complex layers of flavors that make each bite like sipping a fine wine, like Bledsoe wines or bourbon. Q42 uses all natural, real ingredients like real local honey, raw sugar, and freshly ground mustard seeds. No high fructose corn syrup. And you won't find that in Bledsoe wines either. No binders, no fillers, Buffalo crafted, bottled, and shipped. Go to Q42barbecue.com and very firmly type in Fina Show, all caps, to save 30% on your order. Wow. You know what? Half of this read goes perfectly with wine.
Yeah, you're not kidding. That was that was a gangster move, Drew, by the way. He's talking about how do we pick up a Bledsoe sponsorship, and you just
I picked up what he was putting down. It's not my first rodeo, but
well, the good news is the bar is low, Drew. We take all comers.
We don't have enough pepperoni.
By the time I am Italian, you say pepperoni and start howling.
So
howling at the moon.
You two never actually played together, correct? Like John, you left the year that Drew showed up. So how did you guys clearly have a connection. So real quick, as we finish the show up, talk about how you met, the connection, because you two, it's I would have loved to see you on the field together.
So I'm going to answer that very, very ignorantly. I think that Drew and I are kindred spirits in a very fraternal kind of way. And I don't know that we ever met before we recently met. Did we?
I think that's accurate. But
we just bonded.
You can take this however you want to take it, Fina, but I knew you by reputation. And so if you think that's a positive thing, you take it as a positive thing. If you think it's a negative thing, you take it as a negative thing. And I'll just let you choose to take it as a positive.
The comment section is blowing up and I'm sweating.
But we're both Pac-10 guys. We're real old enough to be Pac-10 guys. And then I think we had a lot of friends in common, and we were across the field from each other forever. But we met out at Jim's deal and hung out, and it kind of felt like we'd been friends for quite a while, but it turns out, I've known him slightly longer than I've known you, Joe, and you're pretty cool too, bud. So
I think it's a total. I think I've known Drew 14 seconds longer than you have. What's up?
Oh, it's another gangster drop right there. Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
What's up?
Any final thoughts? So we've got the Jets coming into Buffalo this weekend. The weather's going to be about 36 degrees and mostly sunny. I think it's going to be partly cloudy, which is the opposite of mostly sunny. As far as just Mike White, what are you seeing from Mike White, Drew?
He's doing a lot of just the things that you're supposed to do. He's not trying to run around and make the flash play all the time. He's just playing consistent football for him, and I think he's given him a really good chance. I think he's playing really, really well. Anytime. I don't know, man. I don't know how you feel, Fina, but if the Jets never ever won another football game, that'd be totally cool with me. So whoever they're playing, I always cheer for whoever's playing the Jets. They've always annoyed me, even when they're good. So I'll be cheering for the Bills pretty hard this weekend, and I hope this one, the last one, they kind of played how the Patriots have always played, where they just go win the game and it's boring, and they're just we're just going to come in and win the game. And it's probably not going to be that many crazy highlights. This week, I'd love to see them win like 46-3.
Yeah.
There in Buffalo. And hey, how long's Von Miller going to be out? Have they said?
Three more Sundays is the expectation. He's on short-term IR, but he also said he'd be back for the Jets game, and then Bean promptly put him on IR. So
good. Let's go ahead and just let him rest for a little bit. That'd be pretty right. Have that dude come into the playoffs fresh. That's going to be pretty good.
One more quarterback observation. You said you watched a lot of football this weekend. Brock Purdy from the 49ers.
You know what?
Dude, that dude did not game manage. He was throwing the ball into windows.
That was the one game I didn't get to watch very much of. I just kind of saw the end of it. But Mr. Irrelevant, right? Which for those uninitiated, the last player in the draft, Mr. Irrelevant. Played really well. Looked like he made some great throws. And for a guy that's in that position, as third quarterback coming in, and you get a chance to come in and play, and you play really well. I mean, that probably extended his career by 6 to 9 years, maybe. He came in and did that and did well. And if he has to play a little bit more, if he continues to play well, that's a changeative moment in his entire life trajectory to have that opportunity and take advantage of it and play well.
Yeah. So he's a chip on the shoulder kind of guy too. If I'm not mistaken, he went to high school here in Phoenix, and his expectation of offers was a little bit higher, and he ended up at Purdue, right? I think he was Purdue. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. I think Purdy was at Purdue, and that kind of school, you go there and you battle, and you get like one big win a year. You upset somebody in the top 10. And I think that, the moment he went into the game, it felt like that for him.
Yeah. Those underdog stories are fun, right?
The Josh Allen story.
Yeah.
If you get a chance, Drew, go back and watch that game, just because, I said, the windows that he was throwing the football, and it's like, who is this kid? Like, how is he throwing the football like that?
Good for him. That's cool.
Before we get out of here, Drew, do us a favor. Let's sell some wine in Buffalo. So tell everybody.
Iowa State. Thank you, Mimi Fina. Iowa State.
As much as you can possibly tell us about.
Yeah, no, we're out in my hometown. The name Doubleback comes from the fact that I grew up in Walla Walla, went off and played ball, doubled back, and came back home. We're making Cabernet. It's, like I said, it's been top 100 wines in the world a few times. But then we also are making a bunch of other stuff. We're making some great Syrah. We make some killer Chardonnay. And then we're just getting ready to release some Pinot Noir this next spring. So if you want to find it, you can just search, Bledsoe wine, and it'll show up. Or you can go to doubleback.com and find it. But yeah, thanks for the plug. Appreciate it. Send you guys out some juice, and you can share it with some friends.
That would be
okay. I love the explanation of Doubleback, because I was kind of trying to figure it out, but you went all
people
the way
have
across
asked,
the country.
People have asked, is it a football deal? Like, you need a quarterback, halfback, fullback, doubleback? Like, nope. Grew up in Walla Walla, went and played ball, double-back, came back home.
I love it.
That's awesome.
Love it.
Final thoughts, John Fina?
I got to say, not mildly impressed by Drew Bledsoe, but really blown away by his insights. I mean, I thought he was going to be a typical schmuck, come on this show, under deliver, under promise, underperform. But man, what a guy, right?
Appreciate it, Fina.
So he was an atypical schmuck. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying not a schmuck at all. Not like
You know,
you, Joe. Not like you, Joe.
I'm just proud to know you had such low expectations. That's really great. But
honestly,
really fun chatting with you guys, man. And I am an unabashed Bills fan, so I'm excited for them.
Awesome. I agree with you on the Jets thing. They're just annoying.
Yeah.
They're like a thorn. You pull it out and then you go, I thought I pulled that thorn out already. Yeah. So I agree with Drew. I'd love to see them just destroy them this weekend. But by and large, final thoughts. Thank you so much for your analysis, Drew. I mean, gaining the insight from your perspective is hard for fans and even offensive linemen to get, to crawl into the brain there and hear what you got to say. So thanks so much and cheers to you, brother.
Appreciate you guys. Go Bills.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been tuned into the Off Tackle with John Fina show, brought to you by the Market Dominator team on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network, presented by Picasso's Pizza. My name is Joe Miller, John Fina, Drew Bledsoe for all of Buffalo Rumblings, for the Market Dominator team, House Capital, as well as Q42.
And Pepperoni!
We love you guys. Go Bills!
Go Bills!